certainly a branch of morality and a very important one to society. War is an instrument entirely inefficient toward redressing wrong, and multiplies, instead of indemnifying losses. I think with the Romans, that the general of today should be a soldier tomorrow if necessary. It is in our lives and not our words that our religion must be read. I have seen enough of one war never to wish to see another. Difference of opinion is advantageous in religion. The several sects perform the office of a censor, over each other. As our enemies have found we can reason like men, so now let us show them we can fight like men also. Rightful liberty is unobstructed action according to our will within limits drawn around us by the equal rights of others. I do not add within the limits of the law because the law is often but the tyrant's will, and always so when it violates the rights of the individual. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Experience hath shown, that even under the best forms of government those entrusted with power have, in time, and by slow operations, perverted it into tyranny. Determine never to be idle. No person will have occasion to complain of the want of time who never loses any. It is wonderful how much may be done if we are always doing. Merchants have no country. The mere spot they stand on does not constitute so strong an attachment as that from which they draw their gains. Commerce with all nations, alliance with none, should be our motto. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes. A principle which if acted on would save 1/2 the wars of the world. It is error alone that needs the support of the government. Truth can stand by itself. Mankind is more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. It is neither wealth nor splendor, but tranquility and occupation which give you happiness. Nothing gives one person so much advantage over another as to remain always cool and unruffled under all circumstances. Dependence begets subservience and venality, suffocates the germ of virtue, and prepares fit tools for the designs of ambition. Sometimes it is said that man cannot be trusted with the government of himself. Can he, then, be trusted with the government of others? Or have we found angels in the form of kings to govern him? Let history answer this question. I hope we shall crush in its birth the aristocracy of our moneyed corporations which dare already to challenge our government to a trial by strength and bid defiance to the laws of our country. A wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread it has earned. But friendship is precious, not only in the shade, but in the sunshine of life, and thanks to a benevolent arrangement the greater part of life is sunshine. Our greatest happiness does not depend on the condition of life in which chance has placed us, but is always the result of a good conscience, good health, occupation, and freedom in all just pursuits. Do not bite at the bait of pleasure, till you know there is no hook beneath it. I would rather be exposed to the inconveniences of attending too much liberty than those attending too small a degree of it. We never repent of having eaten too little. All, too, will bear in mind this sacred principle, that though the will of the majority is in all cases to prevail, that will to be rightful must be reasonable, that the minority possess their equal rights, which equal law must protect, and to violate would be oppression. I have no fear that the result of our experiment will be that men may be trusted to govern themselves without a master. There is not a sprig of grass that shoots uninteresting to me. Errors of opinion may be tolerated where reason is left free to combat it. I was bold in the pursuit of knowledge, never fearing to follow truth and reason to whatever results they led, and bearding every authority which stood in their way. For a people who are free, and who mean to remain so, a well-organized and armed militia is their best security. If the present Congress errs in too much talking, how can it be otherwise in a body to which the people send 150 lawyers, whose trade it is to question everything, yield nothing, and talk by the hour? I own that I am not a friend to a very energetic government. It is always oppressive. That government is the strongest of which every man feels himself a part. Delay is preferable to error. Peace and abstinence from European interferences are our objects, and so will continue while the present order of things in America remains uninterrupted. I own that I am not a friend to a very energetic government. It is always oppressive. To compel a man to furnish funds for the propagation of ideas he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical. I do not take a single newspaper, nor read one a month, and I feel myself infinitely happier for it. When a man assumes a public trust, he should consider himself public property. My theory has always been, that if we are to dream, the flatteries of hope are as cheap and pleasanter, than the gloom of despair. Whenever a man has cast a longing eye on offices, a rottenness begins in his conduct. We may consider each generation as a distinct nation, with the right, by the will of its majority, to bind themselves, but none to bind the succeeding generation, more than the inhabitants of another country. Power is not alluring to pure minds. Politics is such a torment that I advise everyone I love not to mix with it. Advertisements contain the only truths to be relied on in a newspaper. No freeman shall be debarred the use of arms. To penetrate and dissipate these clouds of darkness, the general mind must be strengthened by education.